Welcome to episode 55 of the Relationship Marketing Podcast with Cody B. Today's guest is Angela Hatfield Harris. Angela is a military wife of 22 years with 3 almost grown children from Columbus, Ohio. Angela is a dance teacher with over 30 years of teaching experience. Her dance career has taken her from small to mega dance studios across the Midwest, South, and East Coast. Angela is a co-owner, director of the Energy Source Dance Experience, an in-studio dance convention with guest artists from all over the U.S. Angela is also a certified mentor with HeartMath. HeartMath is teaching thousands of personnel in the U.S. Armed Forces how to use its science-based tools and technology to self-regulate their emotions and build energy and resilience, whether they are waiting in deployment or in the theater. And now, Cody B.
Hello, everybody. This is Cody Bateman. Welcome to a brand new episode of our Relationship Marketing Podcast. Super excited for our guests that we have on the show today. Before I bring her on, I just want to share with you, I came on solo a little while back and kind of talked about how this show is going to kind of shift a little bit. And the Relationship Marketing Show has always been about helping people to act on their promptings to reach out to other human beings. And of course, we talk about all kinds of different ways to do that. What is a prompting? It's an intuitive thought that comes to your mind that you ought to follow up with somebody, say thank you to somebody, tell somebody you appreciate them, reach out in kindness to another human being. And that's what we're all about. And we've created relationship marketing programs around that philosophy. And we've always talked about the fact that there are 2 kinds of promptings. The first kind of prompting is what we call the inner prompting. It's the inner voice that speaks to you and tells you who you are, tells you the genius that you have within. And the second kind is the outer prompting, and the outer prompting is what you do with who you are. So the inner prompting is who you are. The outer prompting is what you do with who you are. It's taking a piece of your heart and giving it to another human being, reaching out in kindness to others. If you act on the outer promptings, it will ignite that inner prompting, the inner voice that talks about the genius that's in you. The reason that I set this show up by recapping that is because we have a specialist on today that's really going to help us with that whole inner prompting thing, that inner voice, how to nourish the soul, how to nourish who you are as a person, how to control your emotions. This is personal development at its very, very best. So with that in mind, Angela Harris, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. How's that for a crazy introduction?
I think it's amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, we're super excited to have you on with us today. The voiceover gave your credentials here before we started, so people kind of know a little bit about you. You got a lot of experience in the dance industry. Tell us a little bit about that, first of all, as we get this thing set up. There's 2 things we want to talk about today. Some of your background in the dance industry, this HeartMath thing. We really want to get into depth on this whole HeartMath concept. And so just start out by telling us a little bit about your dance experience and what you've done there.
Well, when I was a little girl, I had a ton of energy and was flipping around the house and decided I wanted to be Mary Lou Retton. And my parents couldn't handle me flip-flopping all over, so they put me into dance class. And from there, I just fell in love, and it truly is my first love. And would go to any dance class, slowly adding in more subjects, and just could not get enough of it. And moving my body to music and expressing myself was truly just what I was created to do. By the time I was in 1st grade, I knew I wanted to be a mommy, and I wanted to be a dance teacher and own my own studio someday. And in fact, funny story, we were in math class, and towards the end of the year, our 1st grade math teacher wanted us to stop using our fingers to count. And I refused. I learned it this way. This is how I was going to do it. So, and comes my mom for a conference, and she says, well, Angela, you want to own your own studio someday. We're going to have to pay you. People will pay you just like we pay Miss Cassie, your teacher. And I looked at her and I said, I'll hire someone. So there's just a little stubbornness there in myself, but with that, just growing and learning, I quickly became a convention junkie. And growing up in a small rural town, I would go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and get to any convention I could get to learn from as many teachers as I could and soak up as much as I could from them. I went to Point Park College in Pittsburgh as a dance major on scholarship, ended up having my own dance studio and loving the entrepreneurial life, but it was very, very lonely.
So tell us about the dance studio. I think you had your own dance studio for several years.
Yes, 8 years.
What kind of students did you have going through your course?
I had anywhere from ages 18 years old through an 82-year-old woman that would come in once a week and take tap lessons with me. We had a recreational program as well as a competition program.
Interesting. So, I grew up. My adult life as a father, I had a daughter who was in drill team, and she was in the dance classes coming up when she was little, and she got to high school and made the drill team. She was on the drill team for 3 years at the high school. So I've been through that whole, junior level competition all the way up through high school. I'll tell you, do you have any experience with like the high school level, that age group, ages 16 to 18 years old?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So that's my experience. My experience is, let me tell you, wow, like we got into that.
It's a lot.
It's intense. It is intense. Like you got all these young ladies, heck, it starts even before high school. It starts, I don't know, with our daughter Whitney, it started like 12, 13 years old. She got in competitive dance, and my goodness. Mm-hmm. And then you get into high school and you got the drill teams, and boy, you had the state competitions and the regional, national competitions. And heck, next thing you know, we're traveling all over the place. But the pressure on these girls, oh my goodness, so isn't part of what you do to help deal with that? Like, how do they deal with it? Because it's intense. And let me tell you, it's intense on their own. They put enough pressure on themselves, but then you get these crazy mothers involved, who want their kid to be the best. And oh my goodness. So there's a lot of pressure on kids that aren't used to pressure. So if you're a dancer growing up, you are striving for perfection. However, our instrument that we use for our art is our human body, and it changes daily. So you may have a headache, you may have an injured limb, ankle, knee, whatever, toes, that can create you from not letting you do what you want to do. And that all plays part in your mental, emotional soundtrack as to what you can do and how well you can perform, as well as you're striving for that perfection. And old school teachers no, it's wrong, do it again. And now we're seeing and learning from psychologists that it is better to tell them, well, you did this correct, but let's try and fix this. So there is a shift in helping these students prepare better. And also there is a lot of pressure that they put on themselves because you're striving for perfection. You want to please yourself. Your family is putting a ton of money out there for you to participate in this activity, between the classes, the costumes, the shoes, the travel, the entry fees. And then you have the peer pressure amongst each other of being picked to do little solo parts throughout the routine or in special groups. And then you don't want to let your teammates down. You don't want to let your instructor down. You don't want to let your school down. So there is a lot of pressure. And what we did find out is by using HeartMath tools, you can truly live from your heart and in coherence with your heart and your head. And truly make a wise decision and prepare for those situations to relieve the stress. Okay, so let's talk about it. Our listeners, they're entrepreneurs. They run their own businesses. There are a lot of people that are listening in are in sales, in marketing, and different things like that, creating their own clientele of people. They deal with stresses. They deal with emotions. They deal with relationships that go awry or whatever. So our
Right.
listeners, that's their experience in today's world, in the business world. And it's all relative in my mind. It's all relative. Your experience upbringing is with these kids in dance, adults in dance, pressures of dance,
Hmm.
and you were introduced and become a certified trainer of this thing called Heart Math,
Correct.
which you now incorporate to help your students and help other people along the way. In fact, I think you're known as the executive director of sports and fine arts. Is that right?
That's correct. I work for a wellness company called Integro in New Albany, Ohio, and we use different forms of holistic healing to help our patients and our clients.
Okay, so let's talk about that. And when you say holistic, what did you say? Holistic
Healing.
healing.
Hmm.
What is that? What's holistic healing?
So holistic healing could be anything from essential oils to sound baths with the Tibetan singing bowls, to meditation, to heart math tools, anything to help a person progress in their journey of life.
Okay, so now I want to tie that back to our messaging here. We are about
Sure.
acting on our promptings, and the inner prompting is that inner voice that speaks to you, tells you who you are, tells you what you ought to be doing. It's that inner voice that could indeed put a little pressure on yourself. Okay, here's who you are. Go do something with it.
Right. Right.
And we have a tendency, once we discover who we are and what our potential is, or at least what we're supposed to be doing in the world, we put pressure on ourselves before anybody else gets involved. We put pressure on ourselves to get out there and make it happen. And so I just kind of wanted to make that tie-in. So this heart math, how does heart math help somebody to keep balance, to keep that emotional control as they put that pressure on themselves?
Well, first, I should probably explain that Heart Math is a resiliency course, and it was created for the Navy SEALs. And it was proven that with the 6 tools and the SEALs being trained, they could stay in the field 30% longer and still make cognitive decisions and make proper decisions. So now it is adapted into all walks of life, all special ops branches of the military. Fortune 500 companies use this. It's proven to reduce the feeling of depression by 40%, which is more than medication can do. They're finding less sick days for their employees. An overall general health of well-being is better. So first responders use this, police, ER doctors and nurses, schools. Ohio State University uses it in their wellness lab, and the students can use the biofeedback tool and help connect. It looks like a little pulse ox that you connect to your ear, and it measures your heart rate variability. So Heart Math is a science data proven program that's been published in over 35 different medical journals. It's an institute based in California. And when we train people, we can do workshops, we can do one-on-one sessions, we can go worldwide. But what we like to do is it's connecting the heart and the brain together. And science has found that on the backside of the heart, there are 40,000 brain cells. So when you make a decision about something and you're like, well, I don't know if I should do A or B, and you go, well, I'll go with A, and then you're questioning yourself about that decision, there are different tools that I can teach you to use so that you can truly go into coherence with your head and your heart and make a true heart-centered decision so that you're not questioning yourself.
Okay, so this is really interesting. I want to read something here. This is for all of our smart people listeners. This is kind of an explanation of the heart math that we received in the pre-show. Now, just bear with me, listeners, and just try to listen very close to these words. It's about bringing peace and love to the world one heart at a time. We facilitate wellness through stress management and emotional self-regulation. What caught me in these words was that word emotion. So when you talk about, we have decisions to make, and you guys go through ways to help people with decisions, because we decide on decision A versus decision B, like you said, and then we wonder if we made the right choice, which creates stress.
Correct.
And your emotions do get involved with everything you do. I'm a real, like, when I hear the word emotion, I pipe up, because I think that emotional control is everything. Now, I don't know how that applies to your heart math philosophies, but I believe that emotional strength and emotional control is probably the most important thing there is for you to stay true to yourself and reach your potential. What do you do with how do you train on emotional control?
Emotional control, we want the client to realize that if someone comes to you at your business, an employee comes to you and they're just blowing up about a situation that happened, if you do not stay in emotional control, or what we like to call coherence, we now have two angry people that are not going to come with a solution. So if you are able to remain calm, and you may have to pause and shift and reset, then you are able to help find a solution faster and help calm this person down, and maybe only spend 20 minutes on the situation versus 3 hours, or letting it ruin your entire day.
So how do you do that? How do you train someone to do that? Now, some people are naturally more emotional. It's just
Correct.
part of their makeup. Some people are just, their emotional levels are higher, where other people are naturally a little bit more in control. So let's take the personality that has a tendency to have a high emotional level most of the time. There's pros and cons to people like that. I'm pretty high emotion because I'm very, very passionate. The positive of high emotion is passion. Very passionate about what I do. The downside is your emotions can go up fast.
Correct.
So what kind of things can you tell a guy like me? Okay, Cody, your emotions are going to pop. We're going to do A, B, and C to bring it back down. What would A, B, and C be?
So the first thing we would do is talk about three things that you would like to change in your life or in your business. And when we see that, you could say, for example, of not reaching that escalade. I would say, okay, so for 6 weeks, 5 minutes a day, you're going to practice your heart math tools, and we're going to rewire your brain. So what you're acting on is a current situation that your brain has created and remembered, a muscle memory per se. And when you're remembering that, you have the same response over and over and over. So we have to rewrite that response. So if you do 5 minutes of practice a day, and that's one thing that I love about heart math is the fact that it's only 5 minutes. I don't have to go 2 hours into my yoga room or my meditation room and become all zen with my candles and crystals and walk out, trip over my dog, and start all over again. We know that heart math is not going to make you a zen person, but it is going to help you prepare for your day. So within that practice, when you see that situation happening, you are able to pause. And we call that your emotional soundtrack that starts playing. I have to explode. It's the musical tape in your mind. So we hit the pause button, and then we shift. So then we'll use a heart focused breathing or a quick coherence technique that you could do, I could be doing right now, and you would never know. That's the fabulous thing about heart math. If I was sitting here like doing a deep breathing exercises, you'd be going, okay, I think we're done here, moving on. But it can be done on the fly at any time. When you're driving, if you're one that experiences road rage, you can be using your tools then. But truly hitting that pause button, shifting, and resetting. And by doing that in 6 weeks, your brain will learn a new pathway to a response.
Wow.
And then that old response no longer exists.
So we hear about road rage. A new thing that's definitely paramount in my life and my wife, Jody, in our lives is what we call technology rage. Your technology doesn't work, like you're trying to do something on your phone or place an order, or you're online or whatever, and something doesn't work and you have to reboot or redown. You talk about So we call it technology rage, and I see that. I mean, I see that, especially as older folks, we see that a lot. So
Absolutely.
if I have a bout of technology rage, I mean, there's some things I could do, like you said, to calm
Sure.
myself down and probably be able to get through the technology obstacle.
Correct.
Isn't it interesting, this is off subject, but isn't it interesting, like if you go on Apple or Amazon or anything else and something doesn't work, there's no phone number to call. Like there's no one, like there's like they don't I don't get it. Like, it's weird to me. Anyway, that's off topic, but it adds to the frustration, right?
It does. Right. 1-800 call the nearest teenager.
Call the nearest teenager. Yeah. But again, these are examples of things that happen in our everyday life today. Us older folks, baby boomers, if you want to call us, it's this whole technology world. It does create a level of stress for you when things don't quite work the way you want them to or whatever. So this could be very helpful for that. So let me ask you this. So the whole HeartMath concept, it sounds like it's very sophisticated. It's intense, yet it seems simple. It's intense, but it's simple.
Correct.
How would our listeners go about learning more about HeartMath or getting personal one-on-one coaching with this kind of technology?
They can go to our Facebook page at Integro-Restore, or contact us on our website. You can Google us and put HeartMath Trainer or Integro, and our company will come up.
Okay, can you spell that, Integro?
INTEGRO.
So is it just Integro.com?
Yes.
Okay, so you can go to Integro.com.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the other source? Are you there, Angela?
Yes, I am.
There we go. So Integro.com, you can go there to learn more about it. What is the best way? Let's say that I wanted to, I definitely got some stress things. I've got some emotional control issues that I need to work on. All of this is, if I can keep emotional control and if I can keep stress control, certainly it's going to help me make better decisions.
Correct.
And it's going to keep me calm and poised to follow the inner voice that I have and do what I'm supposed to do in my life. So, what would your suggestion for someone like me be? Like, would it be one-on-one training? Is that probably the most effective, or are there workshops or what?
There are workshops, and it's based on how you learn the best, which is better for you. So if you are one that doesn't like to share your stories and your emotions, then one-on-one coaching session is best for you. Some people, it doesn't bother them at all, and they would rather be in a group setting. So then a workshop that we host every month is available. And if you're not in the Columbus area, we can connect you via Zoom through our workshop. The other way would be, we do have some different online resources that we can provide as well.
Excellent. Well, I'll tell you, I'm actually personally interested in this. I would like to, I'm probably going to contact you after the show and maybe get some personal one-on-one coaching through some of this. I love this kind of stuff.
Fabulous.
Great. I'm big in human behavior, and anytime there's sophisticated systems that come out like this that can help people, I'm very interested in it. So I'd maybe perhaps like to go through some of these, and then we'll have you come back on at a later date after I'm experienced at it. How's that sound?
That'd be great. The one thing that we like to focus on in HeartMath is there are no good or bad emotions. They're just emotions. Because if you're flying high, it can be just as exhausting and draining as if you're hitting rock bottom.
Yeah.
So we want to learn to be in that center and coherence.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I had a professor in college, and this is a long time ago. It's probably one of the few things I remember about my college instructors, their lectures they did. But this stuck with me. And I to this day, I still don't know if I fully agree with it. It's one of these days I really want to explore this, but I'm going to
Okay.
throw it out there. This is not part of the script or the plan or nothing. It just came to my mind right now.
Okay.
I'm just going to throw this out there and get your take on this
Okay.
as we're talking about emotion. Here's what this professor said. He said, love is not an emotion. Love is a state of being. And then he went on to explain that emotion is just the level of which you feel something. So, you may feel anger. The emotion is the level of anger. You might be, I'm a little ticked off, or you're just raging mad. So emotion is about the level. Love, not an emotion, but the emotion is the level of love or mediocre or whatever the case might be. Hate, the opposite side of that spectrum, the same thing. What's your take on that?
I agree 100%. And I believe that we should be able to love without expectation or attachment. So this is something newer to me that I'm learning. So just because I love you doesn't mean that you have to love me back, or that I need to hear I love you every however often. But to do things that truly align with my heart and spread it out into the world without expecting anything in return.
Well, and that's a lot about what our messaging is about on this show. It's this is a relationship marketing podcast. It's all about creating relationships with self and others. We talk a lot about that detachment. Very, very important to detach yourself from the outcome of your, of the things that you do. You give for the sake of giving. You don't give to get. You give to give.
Right.
And those are some of the things we talk about all the time. Detach yourself from the outcome. A lot of salespeople listen in on this show. And a lot of times salespeople are taught, get out there and get the sell, get the close, closing
Right.
tax, this and that. It's all about get. Where we come on and say, no, you got to release on all of that. Your job is to give as much as you can to the person. Detach yourself from the close. Allow the close to happen. It's hard for a lot of traditional salespeople to grasp this philosophy because they've been taught for so long that, sales is all about you. And it's all about how good you are. And there was a day and age when that worked well, but those days are gone. I mean, people know about your product or service before they ever talk to you. They know what your customers like or don't like about your product or service before they ever talk to you. So everything today is about relationship and how can you serve. And so that ties right in with what you just said, so I think that's real important. Yeah.
One thing at Integro is we truly are a team. And there are three of us, the owner, Dr. Sandra Solano, James Gillis, and I. We work together. And when a potential client comes in and we talk to them, we all three interview with them. Because if a person resonates with you versus someone else, they're going to be more beneficial and learn the tools and train better through the Heart Math program, or versus if they aligned with you, they would excel more. Or instead of with me, they might hinder their, emotional side a little bit. So we tell them all the time, it doesn't matter who you go with, let's just help you. So we truly are a team, and we just kind of ride the wave and let them decide who they want to work with and let the sale close. And that probably just had a lot of the salespeople just fall off their chairs a little bit. But,
we like to do that around
here. We don't like to pressure anybody. And we feel if you're ready to work with us, it's your time to work with us, that it is, you're in heart and alignment with us. And if it's not right now, it's not right now, you're not ready to learn.
Yeah, well, that's great. So we're listening to Angela Harris, Executive Director of Sports and Fine Arts, certified trainer for Heart Math. And I'll tell you, you've given us some really valuable things to think about. Angela, one of the ways I like to close this show is I like to give you the floor. I've asked you questions. You've kind of been limited to whatever it is that I pose or bring up. I like to close the show by just giving you the floor and talk to my audience about anything you want to. You know, what do you feel is in the best interest for them to learn as we close this show today?
Well, on a business perspective, don't be afraid to ask what you truly are looking for. And that's actually how I'm sitting here speaking with you today. I was sitting with a gentleman named Sean Barklow, and he looked at me and said, we were at a one-on-one, and he said, how can I help you with your business? And I said, I want to know how I can present at your national conference. And he looked at me and was like, well, lady, that was kind of powerful there and a little gutsy. And I said, I believe our companies align and have the same heart mission. So that's what I want. And he's like, okay.
Nice.
So I truly believe in being very specific and what you're looking for and asking for, especially in networking groups and organizations, and don't give too much information. You know, if you're looking for a copyright attorney, you don't need to go into the story as to why, just what you're looking for and stop talking.
Yeah.
The other thing is truly listen to your heart. Truly, truly listen to your heart, no matter what may come across you, a situation, and really think about it and be sure to listen to both sides and listen to what your heart's telling you to do, because then you're going to be a more authentic self. And I believe that you'll be more successful.
Wow. Powerful words. Appreciate that so much. I'm glad that you brought up Sean Barklow. You know, we talk on this show about the importance of relationships, and make no mistake, you are on this podcast because of a relationship you have with Sean Barklow. We hold, he's a business partner of ours. We hold him in very, very high esteem. He called and recommended you be on this show. When we have people like him who we have strong relationship with make that recommendation, I really don't research my guests all that much, other than I want to find out about them. But I really don't do much vetting and stuff, because we bring people on based on relationships. Sean says you're okay, so we bring you on, you know, and so you do want to thank him for that. We think the world of Sean, and you've added incredible value to this podcast, and it is a good first step for you to perhaps participate in our annual conference, which we have our Relationship Marketing Grand Summit that's going to take place next September in Dallas, Texas. So stay tuned, and I'm going to have the producers of our show get with you afterwards, because I would like to perhaps participate some one-on-one coaching, if you will, and learn a little bit more about the HeartMath concept. So thank you very much for joining us today. Appreciate the time you've taken.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
So there you have it, everybody. Angela Harris, grateful to have her on with us today. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to have another incredible guest on with us, like we do every single week. Get out there and make it happen. Let's remember this time of year how important relationships are, how important people are. Let's reach out and make genuine human connection with other human beings. Serve for this purpose of serving. Give for the purpose of giving. Care for the purpose of caring. And it'll lead you to the promised land. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you so much. Take care now.
Enjoyed this episode of the Relationship Marketing Podcast with Cody B, be sure to subscribe to the show and leave a review so that together we can get this message, The Power of Human Connection, out to the world. You can find Cody's new book, The Power of Human Connection, on Amazon or the Send Out Cards gift store.